Hey, Happy New Year, everybody, friends, family. It's that time of year where, in the past, we've always written a Christmas letter to catch people up, and I'm one of the worst at that discipline. I never do it, although I get friends who mail them every year to us, and it's great to hear how they're doing. So, Judy and I decided we're going to do a Christmas video. Send everybody an email and say, hey, join in. Hit the link and find out how we're doing. We're on the water. It's December 30th, early afternoon, pretty low tide, but the tide's going to turn in about an hour. So if we head out to the ocean, we spend an hour and a half or so paddling out towards the ocean, then the tide will turn, we can play around at slack tide, and then we'll be able to come back in with the tide and the current with us. That's assuming. We both have sniffles and colds, and the water is 52 degrees, so if either one of us slips over, we're turning right around and going back and getting warm, so we don't have these colds turn into pneumonia on us. But anyway, I've gotten Christmas cards from a bunch of you that I want to thank you all for. It's great to hear how your families are doing. It's great to see the pictures that some of you have on your Christmas cards. We know it's the Christmas season when the first card arrives from the cousins in New Jersey. And we know it's the cousins because it's going to have Zach and Abigail's picture on it, and Ryan and Tammy are nowhere to be found. I laugh at you guys every year because I know that's what the picture's going to be. Ryan, my friend, the whole world knows your aversion to pictures, so your Christmas card shows that. But it's good to hear from you. I hope Abigail's doing well in college. And I wonder what grade Zach is in now. He's getting fairly close to graduation, isn't he? And that should be your clue to start feeling old, my friend. We got a Christmas card with pictures from the Fausts. And Dave and Lori are talking about being empty nesters now, which makes me feel totally ancient. Avery's engaged. She's engaged. I remember like it was yesterday, the time we had lunch in Tinton Falls, and she was in the baby carrier, man. Wow. Glad they're doing well. Drew and Scott are doing well. I wonder how Drew is acclimating to Wisconsin after being in High Point for those years. Hopefully that's going well for him. We haven't heard yet from Jim or Ginger. I expect that'll happen. We haven't heard from Jan and Bill, who are out in Salem, Oregon now, but we expect to hear from you guys as well, maybe. So you're certainly going to get the link for this. I'll probably finish it up later on the camper. So sort of we're going to catch up with the news and let you know what's going on with us. It's been a momentous year for us. As of June the 1st, I was granted honorable retirement from the Presbytery of Charlotte. Although I'm still serving Mulberry Presbyterian part-time with an extension. I believe they granted me an exception. I don't remember the wording. Turns out back last spring, I contacted the Board of Pensions and said, I'm 65. I'm ready to start my pension. I'm serving 2 congregations part-time, and I plan to finish to honor my full contracts with them, if that's okay. And I told them point blank, I don't have the first problem with double dipping for a year or two, since my pension is on the meager side due to being a tent maker for so many years. And everybody at the Board of Pensions in Philadelphia said, fine, sure, no problem. I did the paperwork, everything was going fine. They told me my file was in, it was complete, no problems. June. What?
Slow down, though. You're getting ahead of me.
Okay, I was just talking. Sorry, I got interrupted. Judy's yelling at me. Turns out, my file's in. We're in May. 1st of June comes, I get a pension deposit in my bank. And I also get a notice from Board of Pensions director, vice president, mid-level advisor, I don't know the person's title, saying, oops, you're still serving two churches, you have to quit. We need confirmation that you've resigned. And that kicked off an entire back and forth for multiple weeks of me saying, hey, wait a minute, I've been totally above board. I told you what I was doing. You said fine, no problem. And all I got back was a bureaucratic, sorry, it's a new rule. When you retire, you retire. You can't stay there. And I'm like, I don't care if it's a new rule or not. You didn't disclose it to me. You told me I'm not in your system because I'm not installed, I'm not full-time, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards, nothing but bureaucratic. No, 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 you have to quit. Long story short, the Board of Pensions granted me an exception to continue serving one of my two congregations part-time through 2025, but ironclad, they said, you have to resign from one or the other. Take your pick. I didn't have much choice. And so between the two congregations, Christ and Mulberry, Mulberry was in the midst of, and are in the midst of, formulating a plan to turn the cemetery into its own nonprofit association, to maybe sell off part of the property for affordable housing, to maybe drastically alter who they are and how they go about ministry. And Christ didn't really have plans like that. So since it was my leadership that led Mulberry there, I reluctantly, and it was so reluctant, I had to tender my resignation at Christ in May, and let Mulberry know that the exception I've been granted means that 2025 is it for me. Next Christmas, 12 months from now, as a matter of fact, Cinderella turns back into a pumpkin. So Mulberry has to figure out the next chapter in their ministry, and they and I have to work together in the next few months to start figuring out how to identify the next me. I think it'll be exciting for them. I hope so. I think it's a little frightening for them. And then by next December, I become a senior citizen on a fixed income. Oh my God, whoever thought this would even happen, much less how would I navigate it. So it's gonna be a year of changes. No doubt about that, but we're excited about it. Since I'm only serving one church and I'm also starting the process of gradually helping them look to the future, I am trying to be disciplined in the fact that Mulberry hires me for 17 hours a week. So I need to not necessarily be codependent and give them 35, 40, 45 hours a week. So one of the ways I'm doing that is about once a month, once every 5 weeks after church on Sunday, I'm packing up the camper and headed out for 2 or 3 days, whether Judy's with me or not, and going someplace to paddle, like here, or maybe up in the mountains, someplace to hike, someplace just to go and be quiet and do some writing, some reading, studying, and having a blast with that. And part of that blast is I'm doing it because Judy let me last year pull the trigger after saving my nickels and dimes for 30 years, and we have our retirement RV. So catch up on that after I navigate around the boat. You back with me?
Yeah,
Okay.
not quite all the way, but I'm getting there.
Okay, I didn't realize I'd pulled away from you.
I think you want me to tell you.
How you doing?
Good, how about you?
Hey, you know what? December the 30th, we got a day like this.
Amen.
It makes the rain we've had worth it.
Amen. Happy New Year. Yeah, that's
So, if I edited the video, I had to pass a boat and navigate around it. There's a lot of boat traffic out today because it's a warm day. Last, I don't know, October, November, I found my dream. We now, instead of camping in a 25-foot Flagstaff travel trailer, we pull a Airstream 27 FBT is the model. It's actually 28 feet long with a front bedroom. And you know, my dream for more than 30 years is I wanted an Airstream. It's the best quality. $45,000 under market value, and my first thought was I should go look and see what's broken and wrong with it, which I did. I crawled over it, under it, in it, out of it, and it was pristine. It looked dusty, dirty. It had been stored in a barn under oak trees. I finally had to ask him, Josiah, why are you selling this way? You know, what's wrong with it? That's what I thought, but it looks brand new. And he laughed at me, and he pointed to another barn over on his property that I hadn't paid attention, and he said in his broken accent English, my wife only let me have one at a time. And over by the other barn, he had a 30-foot Airstream International. So he was under wife's orders to get rid of the one. We lucked out. It was used, had to do a few repairs, new tires, you know, cleaned up this, fixed that. But we got it about set. And we got the new truck broken in because I had to buy a new used truck because my Tacoma wouldn't tow it. It's too heavy. So now I have a Nissan Titan XD that tows it great. Gets horrible gas mileage, but you know, I only use it to tow. And once a month we hit the road. Judy's gonna work either 4 or 7 more years. She hasn't decided which, because some of it's what her 401k says, some of it's what in 4 years the insurance market looks like for both of us. We hope it'll be 4. I would cheerfully love to sell the house, move into the RV and go full time. She's already warned me, no way, no how. I have to have a home to come to. So after I retire fully next year, maybe I'll spend 2 or 3 years getting the house ready to sell, and we'll find a smaller place somewhere farther outside of Charlotte, or maybe in a smaller town in North Carolina, and we'll get out of all the development that swallowed us alive. Some of you have been to our house, and some of you remember when we built it in 1998, you could sit on our back deck and not see another man-made structure. Well, you sit on my back deck now and you look up where they built up 2 mountains and you see 1,500 homes of a development right behind us. So it's not the same. It won't hurt us to sell out and move. And after selling mom and dad's house next door and getting 2 young, nice neighbors who are thrilled to be there, maybe the same thing will happen when we sell ours. We hope. We'll see. So it's going to be a year of changes, certainly for the church, for us. I've agreed to be co-moderator of the Charlotte Presbytery Ministry Resource Committee, MRC, which is a committee that tries to connect churches with information, with expertise, with ideas for growth, with new ministry, with learning opportunities. We're not a programmatic committee, we say. We're more of a resource connectional committee. We also are the committee that oversees at least $6,000 to $10,000 worth of grants every year. The Presbytery, forward thinking, has said when churches close, and they have, and they will continue, 20% of every church that closes goes to a fund that we use to fund ministry in other churches via grants. Not loans, but just free grants, technology, ministry, connectional opportunities, events, and we oversee those. So during the pandemic, we gave thousands of dollars away to churches that needed the equipment to figure out how to live stream and do remote worship. So I will spend my last year before full retirement foolishly having said yes, being a co-moderator with another great pastor in the Presbytery. Gail and I will be moderating the MRC. And those of you from Red Bank, from Tower Hill especially, go figure how things come around, I serve on the MRC along with Becky Hart. She's actually on my subcommittee for resource development. How many meetings we look at each other on Zoom and laugh and remember some of our antics back in the 80s at Tower Hill. And some of you know what I'm talking about, those things we did with youth ministry and campus club and JC that lawyers wouldn't allow us to do today, that type thing. So there are always connections for sure, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this. So many of you we don't see as often as we can. Brian and Dave, Lori, I confess back in early November, I really was in two minds, and that's because I did a trip up to Philadelphia. I shot a bonus sermon at the SS United States that's moored in South Philly at Pier 82, and I stayed 2 nights over in Clarksboro, New Jersey to do that video. And I was thinking to myself, gosh, I'm just 2 hours from Red Bank. I could just leave now and call you guys and say, let's meet somewhere and have dinner. But it was a fast trip, and the whole point was to get the video at the United States, something that I very much wanted to do before they tow her down to Mobile, Alabama to prepare to be sunk as the world's largest artificial reef. So I had to wave goodbye and head down and take the Cape May ferry without coming up and connecting and saying hi, but I sure wanted to. We may get up that way again this year. We've got one trip to Northern Virginia, to the Blue Ridge Mountains. We've got several more trips down to the coast, one to the Wilmington area, another one down to Myrtle Beach area, a few other places here and there that we're going to head out to. So who knows, if you see a black pickup truck with a silver Airstream behind it pulling up your driveway, you'll know it's us. Speaking of the bonus sermons, by the way, as I move further into retirement, I plan to continue those. I began them back in the pandemic, and all it is I drive to places and shoot video talking like this. My theme has always been and always will be that everything is spiritual, and that's something I deeply believe. Everything. There are no exceptions if we allow our lives to be open to God's presence. Everything truly does have a spiritual component, and so I go talk about that. A lot of people said they enjoy them. A lot of people wonder, why do you always do so much of it in a kayak? Because when you're in a small boat like this, and especially if you're offshore and you just look around and see how big the ocean is, you know what it means to say to God, your ocean is so big, my boat is so small, I need you. Things like that. So I'll continue to do that, and right here where you're watching this, I'll post them to YouTube. They'll be linked from my website. I thought about monetizing that and doing it as sort of a retirement gig, but the sordid truth is YouTube's monetization, I believe, is a ripoff. I believe it's a shell game. So they really don't provide a whole lot of money anymore. They used to some YouTube content creators, they call them. But to do that, you have to allow them control with advertisements, with control over your video feed. Sometimes there'll be pop-ups in the middle of your, or at the end of your video feed. I'm not going to give Google that kind of control over my life and what I feel like I want to say. So I may have to just provide my own link on my website, and you know, one of those little links you see from time to time. Hey, want to buy me a cup of coffee? That'd be great. And figure out how I'm going to do that. It won't be with PayPal either, because PayPal's become a ripoff. PayPal, eBay, Venmo, all the big payment-oriented, money-oriented online services. You know, Google's the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and they always win. And I'm not going to play that game. So we'll see, but that'll be to stay tuned. Now, just, you know, it's a chance to say, hey, Happy New Year. Especially all of you that were so kind to send us cards. Leanne, Phil, we're glad to hear from you. I hope maybe Katie and Jennifer were able to come for the holidays. Vicky, Dewey, hope you're doing well. It was great to get your card, and I do miss you guys quite a bit. I'm glad to hear you're doing okay. So, the rest of you, just know Judy and I both love you. We wish you Happy New Year. And from our nephew Rowan, it's going to be tomorrow's his 21st birthday. Don't do anything stupid, Rowan, and happy birthday, buddy. And we'll catch up sooner or later. So that's about it. Instead of a Christmas card, you get a Christmas video, New Year's video. So Happy New Year. Judy, say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
That was Judy.